let's start with that. We will discuss in this panel about the design and implementation of energy efficiency schemes to alleviate energy poverty and see how these schemes can scale up, because we all know that the needs have increased a lot recently. And I'm very pleased to start with Ester Sevilla, who is still a partner of the SocialWatt project and works for NATURGY. Ester, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will tell you about our energy vulnerability plan, and some schemes for energy are new for this project. First, just 1 minute about what are we in the NATURGY Foundation. We have 3 main lines of activity, 2 very related with knowledge and create knowledge, either for decision makers or for young people, which are in the 2 extremes. And then we have a 3rd line related with social projects. Our vulnerability plan started in 2017, but what we did is take different activities or scheme we were already doing with vulnerable people and then put them together. It was the first plan in an energy company in Spain, and now we have grow up this plan. The plan have two slides of the same coin. This is the coin of the customer area for our supplier in the group, and they do especially different things for poor people really as customers, especially exclusive channels to attend these people. And these are the different activities we do in the social part of the coin, and we do this from the foundation. First of all, I want to say you that everything we do is with other entities, especially with social entities. Now here is Red Cross. We have been working with them for 6 years now, and we have very good alliance to develop new things. But we always go with them because we understand that energy poverty is only a part of the poverty of a family. Social entities deal with all the problems with a family, and we just help in the energy corner, right? And here we have different kind of entities. Some of them are housing, some of them are just accompany them. Well, lots of them. The School of Energy is the first line we put on. It is because these social entities ask us to be formed, to be trained in the energy sector because they know nothing. It's complicated. It's very complicated to understand, for example, a bill. So that was the first thing we did. And we do training courses both for social workers and also for families. The training is more or less the same in content, but the way to do is obviously different. The next area was, I think, our main activity, which is the Energy Rehabilitation Solidarity Fund. It is a fund that provides NATURGY to rehabilitate or refurbish houses. We do both private houses and also social houses, or also houses that belong to social entities, which is the main part of activity we do. And this year we have refurbished more than 100,000 houses, and with 13 social entities. And the main things we do, you have in the right side, is changing appliances, specifically electric appliances, and also repair and replacement heating and cooling systems. The new thing we have developed within the project is what we call solar plants in 2 kinds of buildings. Buildings belonging to social entities, so they can reduce their bill, and when the money they earn, they can use to increase their social activity, and also in blocks of flats that belong, all of them, to vulnerable people. And they could be private or belonging to these entities. We have 16 projects on course. Half of them are already finished, and we work with 11 social entities. The main well, we have some problems with, not problems, but they are longer as we expected in time because of permitting. And the third main pillar of our plan is corporate volunteer. People from NATURGY can volunteer with us in, well, you see there, training courses, and also trying to see if there is a need of refurbish a house when they visit the family. And we do this program mainly with the Red Cross. We make couples of volunteers. NATURGY volunteer put the energy knowledge, and Red Cross volunteer put the social part. So they both visit the family after a training course, and they look the house, talk to the family, see if they can use better the energy and all this. I think Sara will tell us more about this. Also, we want to be very, not only action, but also create knowledge. So every year we publish 1 or 2 studies around this matter. And also we do a seminar to publish these studies. Of course, we are part of the SocialWatt project. We have developed 3 kinds of schemes, one related with behavior, one related with renewable. We want renewable to also be a possibility for these families. That's why in this area, because we think that transition should also reach these people, or other way around. Poor people also should be benefit of transition, and that's why in this project, and also some related with energy efficiency with the Red Cross, with these kits we give to the families. We are also in another European project, which is Sevilla Getafe, which is very, very local project, also with European funds, but in a city in the south of Madrid. That's all from my side. And I give the word to Sara. Do you introduce her?
Yes, Sara Casas from the Red Cross team.
Well, I'm really happy to be here with you and to have the chance to share. To share our work with all of you. Well, as it has been mentioned, there are a few challenges that European citizens has to be faced nowadays with Ukraine crisis, economic crisis, and so on. But it's true that it was just in 2017 when we started with NATURGY Foundation to detect families had problems with bills, with energy bills. At that time, we started with non-card agreement because we need a quick and rapid and short response to the necessities of families. At that point, NATURGY Foundation offered to us to strengthen and to make more solid our collaboration and to start with another kind of measure. I mean, this kind of measures, the ones who Ester mentioned before, us to make renovation in household, to supply kits for families, and of course, train. At that moment, we started with 5 capitals in Spain, but it's true that the new situation, the new challenges in Europe, require a more solid collaboration between the energy company and us. Now we are not in 5 capital cities, we are in the whole country. We were assisted 1,000 families, now we are assisting 40,000 families. And how can we do it? How can we have scale up this help? Well, the key point is the key point is to be trained. This is a very complex response that requires trained person, trained volunteers in that, trained staff in that, in our case. We are a social organization and we need the support of the energy companies to understand how is the problem, the magnitude of the problem. They offer to us training, funds, and measures. This is the way that we could scale up our work. Social worker has to be very prepared for the issue, the huge issue that we are facing. And this is so important, the strength collaborations with energy poverty. We have the contact with families, but we didn't know how to do it. So now we have been trained. In other case, it's also important that energy companies are supporting us with their staff, working as volunteers that are joining to our volunteers, and they are growing our net of collaborators. Nowadays, in that days, we are in the whole country. We are supporting 40,000 families, and we are not working along with NATURGY Foundation. We are with another companies as Endesa, Resol, BP, and many of them that are settled up in Spain. Well, this has been a very successful collaboration. We think that we are going to have a lot of work for many years. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Sara. And maybe before we go to the next speaker, I would have the same question for the two of you, as you have worked together, and that's very nice to have you, both of you, today. So if you would, because we see also in other countries, we have seen that also in the project in Austria, for example, Caritas has also a very nice program together with energy companies. So maybe the question to you would be for other countries or other companies or charity organization who would like to develop similar partnerships. What would be according to your own experience, the key factors to make these partnerships successful?
Well, as I think it's crucial to offer a solid collaboration in technology aspect, in technician aspect. We are social workers, and we need the strength of the companies to have a more accurate and response. It's also so important to monitor the response. They know that there are a lot of national measures as the taxes and the social grants, but maybe they are not in contact with vulnerable people. So this monitoring is so important to know if the impact of the measures. For example, we are now in another areas, and we are now in rural areas, in place where nobody were before. We, the Spanish Red Cross, we didn't be there because of the size of the locals. And thanks for this project, we are now working in very rural, small cities, and we can check. Can test, we can monitoring the measure that the companies, national government, and go on, they are putting in the sphere.
From our point of view, I think trust is the very best quality to make a contract. We trust each other. Now we are friends also, but we as a company need to leave social entities do the social work, and we do the technical work. All of us have to respect each other, so we are the best in our field. We mix this, it won't work. And also, I think we have to understand different points of view. We as an energy company were not allowed to enter in a city hall or in a house before, because, we have very bad, mind in the people, okay? So if we do this kind of partnership, people can see us also as a company that wants to help to solve the problem. So that's why it is very important to go together. Now we also, especially with the School of Energy, we have the door open to the city halls because they see us as trainers, as a help that we can help for this problem. And that's all.
Thanks a lot, Esther. And as both of you, you mentioned the relation to social workers, the importance of the trust also that you can get from the households. That's a very nice transition to the next speaker, who is also a partner of the SocialWatt project, Carlo from eVISO, who will present what eVISO has done in Italy, other schemes, but still working with social workers.
Okay. Thank you. Before to start, I need to share with you a story. Yesterday, I entered in my hotel room and it was kind of freezing. But what's the problem? I'm the engineer, so let me go to the control panel. Let me see, let me raise the temperature, let me raise the fan. And now let me go from Brussels to a tropical island. Did I solve the trouble? We will see. But now to how and why supplier can work with the social organizations. So we present four schemas. The first one is to connect the various stakeholders and to provide and raise awareness. Two types of awareness. The first that is on best practices and energy efficiency. The second that is really relevant, especially in Italy, to provide and share the fact of energy poverty, because actually in Italy we don't have an official definition of this kind of problem. Then the second schema is to equip who? Equip, and as well explained to the previous speaker, the social services with the knowledge and the instrument to help the people that is in contact with the people, the proper instrument, hands-on, to provide first aid with best practices, and then to get information, the information that we engineer like so much, the data. And then I talk about the third schema, that is conseil. Here, as an energy expert, we can manage with the tool, with the analysis, to find the best action to provide support to direct energy poor families with, of course, very anonymized kind of data. To substitute also energy appliance with a very, very precise and effective action. And we go actually with the fourth and final schema, that is to actually find a way to replace, to find funds, and go to the need of every single person and every single case, and substitute electrical appliances. Our pilot case, how it ended up. We were able to support 13 households with by replacing effectively home appliances, and the actual impact is a full family energy saving here. And that's it. Maybe I can end with my personal story. So how it ended up? Did I solve my freezing room? No, actually no, with any kind of intervention. I was actually throwing out the window all the money and all my effort, because looking better, there was in a side of my room a windows that was slightly open, and that over that windows I was throwing out all my heat. I can rise to 30 degrees, but the room will be freezing again, and I was throwing outside all the money of the hotel because I was not actually being able to get my room warmer. So I think that this is a clear example on all the effort and all the priority also in our schema. That is not the end point to substitute the domestic appliance that is the most important. because if you have the right tool but you don't use in an efficient way, you just throw out them off the window. Thank you.
Now we will move to the second part of the panel, where we have welcomed other European projects to share their experience and results. And that's also a way, because in the first part we spoke mostly about partnerships between energy companies and charity organizations or social workers. And probably most of you working with energy or with schemes for alleviating energy poverty, you know that another key stakeholder for local initiatives are definitely the local authorities. And that's something that we will explore in this second part. And to start with that, what's best than starting with the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub that has the role to trigger expansion between local authorities and also to organize technical assistance. So I'm very pleased to welcome to the floor Dimitra Drakaki. And in 1 minute, the presentation will be ready.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Hi. So good morning, everyone. I'm going to just present you the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub initiative. That is an initiative of the European Commission. And specifically, I will focus on the technical assistance that the hub is developing and is working on. So, sorry. On this, yes. Thank you. So what is the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub? I'll just say a few words about it quickly, so you're aware what I'm talking about. So it's an initiative of the European Commission, specifically of the DG Energy. And it's basically the space where all the expertise on energy poverty is gathered. So what we try to do, what is our role, is to basically collect all the information related to energy poverty that can help municipalities, that is our main target audience, to tackle energy poverty at the local level. So the focus we have is to bring together all the expertise and collect all the information and create a different kind of material, but also databases for local governments that they can use to learn about energy poverty, so to raise awareness about the topic, but also to provide them concrete examples of how they can solve the issue and assistance hand in hand with the rest of our activities. So you can see here a few channels that we use in order to communicate with our target audience. So if you're interested, you can follow up more on that. So I will focus here in this small presentation on the technical assistance part that we provide to the local governments. And we do this through two open calls for technical assistance. The first one ran in 2022. And during this call, we had 23 projects awarded. And we assist at the moment, because the implementation phase is running currently. We assist 34 municipalities around Europe to basically develop actions locally and implement them in order to tackle the phenomenon of energy poverty at their local context. The way we do it, so the way we organize the work, is that we launched the first call. We evaluated the proposals from the ones that were selected. What we did was to have a first meeting with the municipalities to see what were their needs, to see what they wanted to achieve, because in many cases we saw that municipalities either were not sure what they want to do about energy poverty, so they were not very aware about how to start the work, or they had already started the work and they were already in a phase where they were implementing solutions. So each municipality had different needs. So from the ones that were selected, we had the first call with them to see their needs, and then we pair them with an expert, a local expert that can help them also in their national language, because that was an important thing to keep in mind. Where for 9 months, this local expert together with us follows the development of the work and assist the municipality to develop and implement the work plan that they have worked on. So that's really the trio of support between, so the collaboration of the local government, the EPA team, and the expert organization that we find that was very important. You can see here in the map the municipalities that were benefited from the first call. And as I said, they are still running, but there are some that they have completed the work. So the time frame of 9 months is the maximum amount of assistance we provide to them, but it could be also shorter depending on the needs of the specific local context. So the second call is running at the moment, and the deadline is at the end of the month. What we learned from the first call is that in many cases local governments have the will to work on energy poverty, but they might not have a lot of time to work on the application, and they might be a small municipality with maybe 1 or 2 employees. So what we found important is the participation also of other organizations in this call. In the first call, they could still apply as co-applicants, but now what we changed is that external organizations outside of the local government can also be the lead applicants in order to assist the municipalities to apply for the call and receive the assistance. So you can see here a small list of examples of organizations that can apply for the call. So either a civil society organization, NGOs, governmental institutions, etc. So this is who can apply for that call. What they apply for is to receive support to implement, as I said, to develop and implement local actions. So what we mean by that, the way we see it at the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, is that in order to develop a local action to tackle energy poverty, there are 3 phases in this process where I'm going to share now. The first phase is the diagnosis phase, is to understand basically what energy poverty is, make sure that it's clear for everyone in the municipality that has the knowledge on the topic and all the aspects around it. And then after understanding what energy poverty is and measuring energy poverty at the local context, then moving on to the planning and implementation phase. So that's the other 2 steps of this circular approach. And what we do is when the municipalities apply for for this technical assistance, they can indicate to us which phase of the 3 they want to work on. So do they want to measure energy poverty at their local context? Do they already know that and they want to actually implement now the solution that they have identified? So we follow them in this process during the technical assistance. And it's important to maybe mention that in this circular model that I talked about from the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, at the same time as the technical assistance is running, we have also developed a handbook where we basically explain to the municipalities the phases to follow, the steps to follow in order to diagnose energy poverty, that you can see here, those steps. What is important maybe to highlight is that we see those steps as not necessarily that you have to start from 1 to arrive to 7. Maybe the need is of the current, of the local context that every time is different, is related to step 3 or to step 4, etc. So it's a flexible, let's say, model, but it gives an indication, an idea to the municipality, to the local government that asks for assistance. What is the process, let's say, in order to diagnose and measure energy poverty. So this is basically the first handbook that we have, and we are developing the next ones that relate to planning and implementation. And maybe I can finish with a few concrete like lessons that we learned through the first call for technical assistance. The most important one is that each local context differs. So it is important to not try to apply, let's say you see an example of another municipality and you think, I'm going to do the same. I don't think this can work because each local context really is different. So depending on the country, depending on the size of the local government, the solution that we provide is really tailored to the needs of this specific case. Then it was very important, the phase of exchange with the municipality, because sometimes municipalities think they have a specific need, but by the exchange with the expert, we saw that the actual need that they had was different than the one that they applied for. So in many cases, they asked, let's say, I want to develop a one-stop shop, and by exchanging with them, we realized this is not exactly what they needed. They have to take a step back, for instance, and understand better the problem or connect with the local stakeholders. So really the exchange and discussing with them helped us shape better the assistance we provide to them. Then also the collaboration among the different departments, because energy poverty is everyone's business and no one's business. So in many cases, we see that one department starts the work, but it's important to take with them also the other departments, like the social department, for instance, of the municipality is very important in this process. So really the connection among the different departments is very important for the success of the plan. Then external organizations can really help to push the local governments to start actions. So many times municipalities, especially if they are small in size, they don't know about energy poverty. They don't know even they have an issue about it. So external organizations are very important to raise awareness and bring the knowledge to the municipalities, also assist them in the process, because we see that there's a lot of local awareness of like civil society organizations that can help municipalities start the process, as you also mentioned. And finally, to close with one other lesson we learned, because the most let's say the most cases we received in the first call were related to the diagnosis, to understanding the levels in the local context, because we have data for in the European level, but not so much data in the local level. It's very important to do a mapping exercise inside the municipality of resources, internal and external. This can relate to HR, but also to financial resources. So this process helps, because in many cases, what we noticed is that there is a will in the municipality, but if, let's say, the person that has started the process leaves the municipality and there is a new person, this whole process is blocked, stops, and is lost. So this kind of exercise would help the local government continue the work and bring it to the end. So that's it from my side. I hope I was not too late too much.
I've just learned that we got many questions online, and maybe you have also questions, but we are a bit behind, so I will have only one short question to Dimitra, and hopefully at the end of the panel we can come back to more questions. So the very short question is that you have shown you are in contact with many municipalities. So what are their most frequent questions to you when they look for support?
So it depends, because as I said, I think many times the really local context differs. So in the first call, as I mentioned already, the most cases were related to measurement, to understanding and diagnosing energy poverty. So we receive a lot of questions about that. But then also many questions we receive relate also to the political discussion that is taking place at the moment. So at the moment, there's a lot of discussion about energy communities, one-stop shop. So we receive a lot of questions from municipalities, how I can start this process. And what we always do is try to understand, is this what they need? Let's go back and look into the actual needs, because sometimes it's easier to just pick a solution that you saw somewhere, but it's not going to work in the local context. So I hope I answered the question.
No, yeah, that's quite clear. I think what you're saying, probably indeed very, unfortunately, very frequent. Thanks a lot, Dimitra. Now we move to another European project, and I'm happy to welcome Diana Yordanova from Housing Europe, who will present us the lessons learned from POWERPOOR and especially the energy poverty alleviation offices.
Yes,
Diana,
thanks. Merci, Jean-Sebastien. Hello, everybody. My name is Diana Yordanova, and I'm the Communications Director of Housing Europe. But I'm here with another hat, even though for only an hour we already heard social housing being mentioned as a very key role sector in the alleviation of energy poverty. But I'm here to present to you another European project, which is called POWERPOOR, and which, as you see, you'll recognize many of the tools, many of the targets, many of the questions that have already been raised in that panel. So POWERPOOR was drafted, the proposal was drafted in 2019, and that was before we knew what would come in the next 3 years. So we had, it started in September 2020, so that was just after the first wave of COVID. And since then it has been holding a cost of living crisis and also an energy crisis. And that was the hardest test that the project could get. And we have seen that the approach that had been planned back in 2019 managed really to kind of stand the test of time and of the circumstances. So what we have been doing together with 14 partners all across Europe is first, according to Eurostat, to identify the 8 most impacted countries in Europe by energy poverty, according to the statistics back then, but still, unfortunately, that has not moved much now. So that is Bulgaria, Greece, Hungary, Latvia, Estonia, and Portugal and Spain, which we sometimes forget, but not being able to cool your house it's also puts you in the energy poverty basket. And since then, since almost 2 years and a half or a bit more, we have been training so social and affordable housing providers. Although they have been already challenged by energy poverty, if you see the statistics, you see that on average, the social and affordable housing stock might be more energy efficient than privately owned homes. But on the other hand, speaking here as Housing Europe, the sector houses also mostly vulnerable people who rely on very modest incomes. And this is where the problem mainly comes from, although we have seen that this crisis has been also impacting more and more the middle class. In addition to the sector, we have also been working a lot with municipalities because obviously they're very, very key, and I completely sign under what Dimitra said. But also the academia, because it's always good to have someone who is less biased. And again, health and social workers, which is very important. But we have noticed that they're very often very, very overburdened, although not overburdened, hopefully. So this is really something that we have been finding kind of difficult to add them to their to-do list, another task in some circumstances. So we have those 8 countries and Housing Europe together with ICLE and the European Crowdfunding Network, the 3 European umbrella organizations. We have been in touch, we have been in charge of kind of scaling up this approach from those 8 countries and making sure that this information is available also to the rest of Europe. So almost 2 years and a half, and after that training, so if you'd come to pass the training, which is 1 day, it's free, and we have been offering a digital certificate and a LinkedIn certificate. In some cases, that has been kind of an additional motivation because everything is on a voluntary basis, and I will come back to that on the voluntary basis afterwards. So once those volunteers have passed the training, obtained the certificate, then they're kind of advised from what they have learned to go on the ground. So they would go with the knowledge of first, what is energy poverty, also using the tools of the project of who should we target, how do we recognize who is energy poor, because we have seen that, well, that could be, you can be energy poor because your income is very small, or you can be energy poor because there is a hole in your window, or we all know it in that room, but there are many, many different realities in the different countries. So first you use those tools, then be kind of also armed up with some soft skills, because we have also realized that in many countries, so the energy poverty and energy poor concept came from the UK, but going to Greece or to Bulgaria and say, hey, you might be energy poor has been really difficult, and it kind of risks people being pushed back and saying, well, who are you to tell me that? So also the trained supporters and mentors have been, in a way, trained that they should be kind of delicate about that, given that they also enter people's homes. So we also heard a lot how trust is very important here. So to gain that trust, also they had to learn quite a lot about soft skills. And in addition to that, there is also a module which is on how can the municipalities work. And if we have already covered the user behavior, the status of your home, and reading your energy bill, then the energy mentor and supporter at local level would potentially advise on how you can join an energy cooperative, an energy community, how you can access small financial help. Or potentially we have European crowdfunding network on board, so they could even advise you on how you could start your crowdfunding campaign, which has been done in several cases. So this is how visits looked like in Greece during COVID. And here we've had one of the most motivated energy mentor and supporter in Estonia, in a homeowners association, and this is Kai, who has really done incredible work going to multiple houses. But we also had, I don't have the picture of this man, but I should. It's someone who is a student in Greece, but he's from Cyprus, and he went back to his village and he visited all the 37 homes of his village and went to everybody's house, trying to help. And of course, in the local language, maybe knowing people in the neighborhood, or maybe these neighbors, they knew his parents or grandparents. So this is usually how this very human connection has been working very well. In addition to that, we also heard a lot about one-stop shops. So this is also something that the project has been doing, and there have been 15 of those established in those 8 pilot countries that I have listed. And here we have the row of cities. We have ICLE on board, who have been very helpful in advising how can we get in touch with the Covenant of Mayor, how can we draft the message in a way so that it really comes across. And where we think that the project could be helpful to municipalities is first to help them and to use those free tools that we have created on identifying who is energy poor, also sharing with them the knowledge that we have acquired, and everything that we have created in practice. And a final slide. So Housing Europe was in charge of organizing 5 of those EU webinars. So this is the scale up because we do them in English. And tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day, is the last one. From 10:30 to 4:30 p.m. There are 5 modules, and we'll have a special guest. Here we were discussing about the close link between energy poverty and fire safety. So we'll have a guest also explaining how close that link is, and that they have found out that more and more often people who are vulnerable are also exposed to fire safety risks. But all of that I mentioned is being covered during that training, and still registration is open for tomorrow morning. And then there is a certificate that comes with it. So I hope it's the European Year of Skills, as you said. So yeah, if you would like to share, please don't hesitate to share that with your colleagues.
Thanks a lot, Dana. We see that the POWERPOOR project has initiated many dynamics, let's say, and you mentioned these great volunteers and the energy poverty alleviation offices. But that's also, I mean, we all have these problems with all European projects. Unfortunately, these projects have an end. So how do you see how these dynamics could be maintained after the end of POWERPOOR?
Yes, you're very right, because the project is ending end of August, and we have, well, the numbers are all the time changing, but about 1,000 trained mentors and supporters across Europe. and another 1,600 who have already passed the training. So it's a lot of energy, and we keep in touch with them. We try to keep them engaged. But there is also that difficulty that as soon as September comes, to what extent can we rely that these people on a voluntary basis will keep on doing what they've been doing in the past few years? So ideally, I mean, thanks a lot to the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, which has been supporting us with really spreading the word each time that we have asked and have presented. So I would say that EPA will play a key role in that to maybe accommodate those trainings and tools, but also maybe that should come into, we see more here and there in local legislation and hopefully in European legislation, one-stop shops and these approaches being more and more recognized. So in my opinion, they should be better financed, better staffed, and better kind of structured so that they can survive in the longer term, because regardless of whether we have all those huge challenges that we're experiencing now with cost of living, inflation, and energy crisis, energy poverty was there before, and it has only been exacerbated. So we'll need those tools that have been created. So I think it will be a pity to lose them. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Diana, and I wish you all the best for the remaining part of the project. We mentioned several times today already the energy crisis, costs, etc. But we also know that energy poverty is related to other impacts, and especially health impacts, and that's what we will focus on in the last presentation with the well-based projects. And I'm very pleased to introduce Hande Barlin from the Zero Discrimination Association, who joined us from Turkey. So, and the crisis.
Thank you. Okay, it's working. Hello, everyone. I'm from the Well-Based Project. We're 19 partners for 5 third parties from 11 countries. We started in 2021 and we will be running until 2025. So we're in the second year of implementation at the moment. At Well-Based, we aim to design and implement and evaluate urban programs to reduce energy poverty and evaluate its effects on the well-being of the citizens, especially on their health. And we move from the social ecological model framework of health, and we look at the social determinants of health. So we have 6 pilots in 6 different countries. So we have Valencia, Spain, Harlan, Netherlands, Leeds, UK, Edirne, Turkey, Abuda, Hungary, and Jelgava from Latvia. So these all 6 pilots represents different realities and different source of energy, poor people. For instance, in Latvia, warming the houses is a problem, but in Valencia, is cooling down houses is a problem. In Edirne, both are problems. So we are trying to see the whole picture in our project. We based our project on randomized control trials, and so we will have more than 1,200 participants in our project. And our interventions are very different. They span from energy audits to retrofitting to trainings or energy advice. So we have all different interventions depending on the pilot and the priorities of the cities. We monitor health, fundamental indicators, we monitor home environment, and we take quantitative and qualitative accounts. And so I basically work in Edirne pilot. Edirne, if you are not familiar, is in the border of Turkey with Bulgaria and Greece, so it's very next to Greece and Bulgaria. And we are working in 5 neighborhoods who are predominantly Roma. So as you know, maybe Roma is, I don't know if my video is not working. Okay, so because I had a video so that you could see the sense of the neighborhoods. So Roma in Europe is one of the most disadvantaged communities in the whole continent and in the European Union as well. And there are frameworks for Roma inclusion. They are disadvantaged in terms of education, in terms of access to job market, in terms of housing, in terms of child care, whatnot. I mean, so they are very faced with social exclusion and discrimination as well. And in Edirne, our target groups are mostly Roma, but we have also other groups as well. So in Edirne pilot, we have we respond to the social ecological framework, but our main interventions rest on energy audits, home improvements, and trainings. Because if you look at these pictures from the houses, usually the housing environment is very poor. You have damp the mold in the houses, you have leaking ceilings, or you have window sills that are not existent. So it's like very energy inefficient buildings. So what we try to do, as I said, we try to first, our intervention is energy audits, then home improvements, then training. And on the way, we try to monitor peak flow of our participants, both in the controlled group and the intervention, their oxygen level in their blood, plus blood pressure. We also monitor their physical health, quality of life, satisfaction of life, mental health, and sleep quality. We also monitor their energy consumption, how it is changing with our interventions, and of course the other social economic indicators are also followed up. We also look at the household air quality and city environment. So in Edirne, we have a multi-party approach, and it has been very successful, actually. Not that I'm working on it, but it is. It has been. We were able to recruit 250 people, both for the control group and intervention group. And our project partners in Edirne are Edirne municipality, then Zero Discrimination Association, which works with Roma communities. It's an NGO. And then we have an energy company. But as a third party, Gebze Technical University, which I work for, supports their scientific approach. But also we have an urban alliance, which is made of basically from grassroots organizations from the neighborhoods themselves. And then we have professional organizations, for example, building. You talked about construction. We have the mechanics working for construction buildings and etc. in the urban alliance as well. And we have the muhtars. At every neighborhood, we have, let's say, government officials at the neighborhood level. They are also involved. And we work with Roma facilitators as well, because you have to, trust is a very big issue that we have been speaking on today. So working with Roma facilitators really is essential for building trust, plus both the municipality and the Zero Discrimination Association have been working in these neighborhoods on different sorts of projects, improving the lives of Roma. So it was like, it was easier for us to recruit the participants for the project. And plus we have active involvement of the target groups in our design of the projects. For example, they have a say what the intervention would be. So we have a strong ownership as well. And as I said, the whole well-based project, we have a lessons learned until now. We're in the second year. Trust is very central and makes the interventions more successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hande. So there is one thing that is a bit specific in well-based, and you mentioned it, is that you have all this monitoring and about health aspects. And okay, we all know that health data, that's very personal data, so that's probably the most difficult to collect. So any success in that, or any plans that you would like to share about collecting health data?
So we have, of course, we have to comply with GDPR, and all of us who are dealing with the projects with the personal data, you have to comply with the GDPR issues, and you have to get ethical consent from the universities or any place that you do your pilot. So we have, for instance, for each pilot, we have a different ethical consent from a scientific community. We have to explain to target groups about what we are collecting each time that we encounter them, and why we collect them, and thinking that, for example, our Roma community is with low literacy rate, so has a low literacy rate, so you have to explain them verbally each time. Normally, because of the trusting relationship with the grassroots organizations and the municipality, people did not really disguise their information. They were happy to share their information. We had baseline surveys. It is like very humongous. It lasts like an hour to finish, 1.5 hours. So normally, if you open your computer, you wouldn't finish because it's so boring. It gets boring after some time, but they were very generous in sharing their data willingly, and we will be having qualitative interviews as well. And for health monitoring, municipality health personnel are going into the houses every month, checking their blood pressure and etc. I think it is also they like that, because it is like a health checkup for them as well, so they are not reluctant in sharing their data. So.
No, very interesting to see also that trust is very important.
Yeah.
When you want to monitor and evaluate the impact. So that's trust, the big word, probably everywhere. Before closing you can keep it and join the panelists. Before we close this panel, we can take a few questions, but quickly think about it and make it short. If you have a question, we will first take one question from the online participants that Camelia will tell us.
Yeah, I have two questions addressed to Ester and Sara regarding the cooperation between NATURGY and the Red Cross. And one, it comes from Paula Fonseca, who asks, how do you recruit volunteers? Who volunteers? And then another one from Silvia Vivarelli from Cinea, who's asking, who is paying for all the activities? Is energy companies?
Yeah, from our side, volunteers are people working for NATURGY in all parts of the company. And we just offer an open mail for everybody, and they say, I want to be volunteer. After that, they get the formation in all the programs we have specifically formation or training, because even if you work in an energy company, you probably are you're working in an area that you have never seen, for example, a bill. So that is why they need the training. And also we do two trainings together. So the energy people from the energy company can get the social part, how to enter in a house, how to deal with people, how to say hello, don't say this or say that. And that's very important for us.
For us, well, we are a volunteer organization, so we strengthen our network. And the other question is about funds. We obviously funds came from companies, but also from people who donate money for the organization. In that case, in our case, or with our own funds. But in this strategy, it's important the funds coming from companies, energy companies.
Thank you very much, Esther and Sara. Any question from the room?
Hi, Owen Kelly from the consumer organization. I was wondering if the findings of projects like Well-Based and POWERPOOR have any impact on the work of the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, or maybe that's more for DG Ener.
Well, we're just collecting data, so we do not have the for Well-Based. We do not have the end results yet.
More for how it impacts the end of the project.
What we do at the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, is to bring together all the knowledge. So we collect all the information of all the projects that work on energy poverty at the moment in a database. So we do that in an atlas where you can find the result of the list of the projects. But directly, we do not get the results of a project like POWERPOOR into consideration when we write our handbooks, for instance. But what we do is to bring together the community and try to learn from them. So we do this in events, for instance, or in like workshop exchanges, and we try to listen to these results and incorporate them in the proposed actions we give to the municipalities.
Yes, and in addition to that, I hear that our project officer is online, Silvia Viarelli. So on the 18th of April, the Commission Cigna is organizing a meeting to energy poverty contractors. So all those people who are behind projects. I think Broc is also on board, also Housing Europe, but also quite a few European projects where we'll be feeding results and inputs, and also what did work well, but also what worked less. And I'm guessing, I see that the organization of that is pretty kind of serious. So I'm guessing that they would really like to take as much as information as possible and use it later on.
Thanks a lot for your answer.